Hello and welcome back to the local property update from AR Property Partners. I'm here with my colleague Robert.
Hello.
And we've got some absolutely fascinating data about the Oxfordshire property market and the national property market. So Rob, do you want to kick us off with some useful information?
Absolutely. So we'll start off with the national market. So over the course of January thus far, we have seen a 5% increase in buyer demand for properties. That's applicant registrations, that's requesting viewings, that sort of thing.
I've certainly seen, so that nationally, 5.
Yes.
I would say it's more than 5% locally. I mean, we've
seen it.
In terms of offers and listings, we're probably 3 or 5 times more than we had, so we're 300%. Obviously, there's, from such a micro point of view, that's irrelevant, but clearly we're seeing energy in the market.
There's a lot of energy there, and that's having an impact then on the asking prices that are coming in. So they've had again another bump. So asking prices coming in are 1.3% greater than they were last month. So again, positive signs. The market's moving forward.
It's not quite. That's the national figure.
That's the national figure.
For Oxfordshire, it was 0.8%, but again, that's still higher than you'd expect. Yeah. What's really interesting, as you know, if you've watched the December and the November editions of the Property Market Update, I always like to talk about the Halifax and the Nationwide reports, because that's a really useful insight into the trajectory of the housing market, because this is based on the mortgage applications that those two providers have done. And December, we have now had for the 3rd month in a row house price growth, and it's a really positive indicator about things going forward. Of course, they are restricted to the mortgage products that they're offering, so they might be appealing to first-time buyers or something along those lines. But Robert, any insights or thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's an interesting point, and it goes to what they're offering the mortgages. So we have seen for the first time for what feels like an eternity, mortgages some mortgage products have dropped below 4%.
Yeah, which is crazy when base rate is 5.25.
Exactly.
That's
so
nuts.
It really is crazy, and there are special circumstances surrounding those. For low risk clients, high equity clients, then yes, they'll probably offer those. First time buyer rates, I believe, are around 4.5% there or thereabouts. So they're still that little bit higher. But again, it's another encouraging sign. Certainly, there's news articles about lenders fighting.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Once that competition starts, mortgage rates
effectively, because of the vacuum in sale volumes that we've had during the last sort of 9 months or so, you've got a load of banks that are very very they're all in competition with each other, and they all need to meet certain criteria in terms of lending criteria, because the banks only make money if they're lending money to people. The reason in 2008 when it was a disaster is because they had no money to lend at all. Now they've got so much, they don't know what to do with it. So there's a really competitive market out there, and they all want to be the top dog. So it's a really good time to be getting a mortgage. I'm going to be investing in property in quarter 1 this year. I'm going to be doing a separate video on that to actually explain. So please follow this channel and like and subscribe, because that is going to be really useful as to useful insight into why somebody who's at the top of his game in a property industry is buying properties this quarter. It's fascinating. So I'll be doing those slides. They'll probably come out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Sorry, Rob.
No, that's those are sort of in terms of the stats. Yeah. One of the big news articles, one thing that can affect the housing market, and traditionally does, is the election. We're obviously in the election year this year, or certainly the build-up to the election. Now, as many of you may know, the height of the market is the spring market. That's when a lot of buyers come to the market, a lot of sellers come to the market, and a lot of properties transact. There was a worry that when is this election going to be? Are they going to be holding it in May? Because the housing market does suffer negatively when the election is moments away.
People want to put off a big decision, don't they? And at the end of the day, they go, "Oh God, there's an election. Let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see." And then the election happens, and everyone goes, "Oh,
everything's the same,"
and it all carries on.
Yeah.
So
we now know from Rishi Sunak that the election is going to be in the second half of this year.
Yeah.
And from sources like George Osborne came out, and he firmly believes that the election is going to be the 14th of November. So that really is going to be perfect.
Yeah,
It's perfect
whether
timing
you
for
like them
housing
or not,
market.
it's quite well informed.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So the probability is it'll be November, and that is, as you say,
It's perfect timing for the housing market. So that's really good for anyone who's looking to sell in Oxfordshire. Is you don't have to panic. We're going to have our spring, we're going to have our summer, and as we get into the winter doldrums, things will take a slow down, which they do anyway. So that, timing-wise, if that does happen, could be better for everyone, really.
And the final interesting insight was
you've got some interesting stuff about
So I, at the end of the year, crunch a lot of numbers within the business. We want to see how we're performing against the wider market and stuff like that. And we were down a little bit in terms of volume of transactions. And so I was looking, okay, well, let's have a look at Oxfordshire as a whole. Now, land registry data is, we know, it's about 3 months out of date. So I could get the data for quarter 1, 2 and 3 for 2022 and 2023, and I could compare the two. Now, obviously we had the Liz Truss vacuum of activity, we had the interest rates skyrocketing, and as a result of that, in Oxfordshire, there were 37.5% fewer transactions in the county. Now, that is mental. It is hugely impactful. But what, like I explained before, if you need to sell a house, you need to move. If you've got loads of political uncertainty, or there's economic uncertainty, or anything like that, you will put off that decision. As soon as that things stabilise, you still need to move, and so you'll see this kind of rush of activity. So we believe that there's a pent-up demand in the market. So we are projecting quite an exciting 2024.
With that pent-up demand, so people have had almost a year, or probably longer than a year, since Truss, of that pent-up demand. Do you anticipate that we're going to have it as big a demand as we had sort of post that first lockdown, post-COVID?
I wouldn't say it's going to be quite as big, because I think COVID also had people reflecting on their life choices. We need to have a house with a bigger garden, or we need to relocate, or whatever it was. So I think that kind of created more movers, and that's what created the rush. All this is like a little dam in the flow of movers, and then we'll release that dam and it'll flow again. So there you go. That's hopefully that covers everything.
Yeah, well, I think overall, you can probably tell that both Alistair and I are very optimistic for this year. I think there are going to be a lot of positives. So stay tuned for the February update. Hopefully there's going to be even more positive news to come with that one. So
we'll see what happens.
Do comment if you have any questions. Make sure you're following us and like the posts, and we'll keep you updated with the property market.
Absolutely. We'll see you next
That's all
time.
for now. Take care.